All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to get into something, well, something pretty profound. It's a mystical teaching that basically flips our whole idea of wealth on its head. We're going to talk about a way to get off that hamster wheel of always wanting more and step into a feeling of real, unshakable abundance. So let's just start with a feeling I think we all know. That endless chase for more, right? More money, a better job, more stuff. But have you ever noticed? The finish line just keeps moving. You get the thing you wanted, and for a minute it's great. But then that deep, lasting fulfillment you thought you'd feel, it's just not there. Why is that? Well, the teaching we're digging into today says something pretty radical. It says we're looking in completely the wrong place. We mix up all these external things, the money, the status, the possessions, with what's actually an internal state of being. The real game isn't about having more, it's about being more. It's about shifting from this constant feeling of lack to a feeling of being completely and totally full, right from the start. Okay, so how do we even begin to get there? First, we have to wrap our heads around this idea that feeling of being poor or being rich, it has almost nothing to do with what's in your bank account. According to this source, it all comes down to which of two fundamental states of consciousness you're operating from. First up, we have what's called lower consciousness, or in the original text, da'at takton. And honestly, this is kind of our default mode. It's that state where we feel like a separate individual. It's all about our ego. We see ourselves as this empty container, always needing something from the outside world to fill us up. The whole focus is on me and what I don't have. But then you have higher consciousness, or da'at elyon. And this is a total 180-degree flip. In this state, that whole sense of a separate me, it dissolves. It's gone. What's left is this feeling of complete oneness with the divine reality that makes up everything. And think about it. If there's no separate self to be filled, how can there possibly be a feeling of lack? It's just gone. So here's the bottom line. You've got lower consciousness, which is all about the ego, feeling separate, and always feeling like you're missing something. And then you have higher consciousness, which is about the soul, feeling connected, and this incredible state of overflowing abundance. I love this analogy. One state is like being a small cup, always waiting for someone to pour something into it. The other is being the ocean itself. So to make this really concrete, the source gives us the ultimate example of this higher state, the figure of Moses. He's held up as the archetype of what true spiritual wealth really looks like. And what's the key quote that defines him? It's not some big, powerful declaration. It's actually a question, a moment of complete self-erasure. Ve'nachnu ma? And what are we? He basically says, I'm nothing. He didn't see himself as this great leader, but just as a clear channel for something way, way bigger. And right there, that's the central paradox of this whole teaching. This incredible humility, this complete lack of ego, that was the secret to his incredible spiritual power. He was great precisely because he felt he was nothing. Let's unpack that, because it's pretty wild. On one hand, he was lofty, right? His whole experience of reality was a direct connection to the divine. But at the exact same time, he was humble for the very same reason. He knew that this incredible power flowing through him wasn't his. They weren't two different things. It was one single, unified state of being. Okay, so to really get why these two states feel so incredibly different, lack versus fullness, we kind of have to look under the hood at the spiritual source code, you could say. Where is each state drawing its energy from? So, that lower consciousness, the one all about our separate self, it connects to a level of divine energy called auric. Now, you can think of auric like a really specific, targeted resource. It gives you exactly what you need to fill a particular lack. The example in the text is a horse to ride. It provides for you, for sure, but the whole system is still built on this idea of a giver and a separate receiver who has a need. Higher consciousness, on the other hand, plugs into something else entirely called attic. Now, this isn't that targeted faucet filling a need. Attic is the infinite ocean of divine reality itself. It's a state so absolute, so complete, that words like lack or need or separation, they just don't even make sense there. They can't exist. This is the source of that real bottomless wealth. Now, this is where it gets really, really exciting. The source makes it crystal clear. This higher state of consciousness isn't just some cool story about an ancient prophet. It is literally part of our spiritual DNA. So you gotta ask, right?
Is this just a nice idea to think about, or is this something you and I can actually tap into, like in our real messy lives?
And the answer this teaching gives is just a huge, emphatic yes. It says that every single one of us has a spark of Moses inside, a direct line, a personal connection to this higher state.
So the key takeaway here is that unlocking this inner fortune isn't about getting something you don't have. It's all about a shift in who you think you are. It's the practice of consciously moving your sense of self, your I, away from that temporary, needy ego and planting it firmly in your eternal, always abundant soul.
But, and this is a huge but, this isn't about just checking out and leaving your daily problems behind. The whole point is the exact opposite. It's about bringing that higher consciousness down to completely transform your day-to-day reality. And the source gives us a really practical, dynamic process for this. First, you ascend. You connect with that soul-level awareness through prayer, meditation, whatever works for you. But then, while you're up there, you have to remember. You look down at your real-world problems, your fears, your anxieties from this new, bigger perspective. And then you descend, carrying that expanded consciousness back down with you. And that's what transforms everything. Your challenges stop being scary obstacles. They become the very tools you use to bring more light into your world. I mean, that's such a powerful idea, isn't it? Real spirituality isn't about escaping the world. It's about getting more deeply engaged with it. It's about taking our complicated, sometimes messy lives and turning them into a vessel for something higher, something more real and abundant. So in the end, we're left with this totally new definition of wealth. It's got nothing to do with what you have in the bank. It has everything to do with recognizing who you fundamentally are. It's not something you go out and get. It's something you wake up to inside yourself. And that really leaves us with one final thought. Maybe the question we should be asking isn't, how do I get more? But rather, how do I finally recognize the infinite wealth that I already am?